I know in '93 you worked quite a long period or quite a few matches in USWA, so Jerry Lawler's territory or promotion down in Tennessee. And is that where you first met Brian Lawler or Brian Christopher down in Tennessee?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew of him just through the magazines. I'd never met him. And then in '93, it was June of '93, I literally graduated high school, picked up my diploma, and drove straight to Memphis. Like literally from my high school, I got on the highway and moved to Memphis to work for Lawler and Jarrett. And I just told the story the other day, but I can remember, Brian walking towards me. It was like a scene out of a movie. This long hallway, and hear me walk. I'm walking from one end, he's coming down the other, and I go, "It's Brian." That's I knew who he was, and he was. This was our first meeting. He walked by me and didn't even acknowledge me. Just walked right by me. And I was like, oh, this guy's something else,
Yeah. What have I done to piss this guy off?
A long time, but he's his character.
Like I say, going back to Brian Christopher, you guys had a series of matches in '97, or some memorable TV matches on Raw, Shotgun Saturday Night. But when did the conversation first start about the two of you actually teaming? Who pitched it to you? How was it what was the conversation like when the idea was pitched about yourself and Brian teaming?
There wasn't a conversation. I was sitting home. He was still kind of working TVs. I had been sitting home for weeks, if not months, and just kind of worried about getting the phone call to get released at any point, just because they weren't doing anything with me at this point. So, so I signed in February of '97, like I said. So this was right before WrestleMania of '98, WrestleMania 14 in Boston, and I'm about 2 hours from Boston at the time, is where I was living, and I get a phone call on Wednesday before WrestleMania, and they said, "Hey, we need you for WrestleMania this weekend. You'll be teaming with Brian Christopher in a tag team battle royal, and we also need you on Friday to do a show. You'll be wrestling Taka outside at this, this promotional thing." So it was weird. I still don't know to this day, like, how did that happen? I was a good guy. He was a bad guy. We had been wrestling each other, leading up to this. And all of a sudden we were just thrown in there together. And then the thing on Friday, the promotional thing, was the thing outside at the City Hall in Boston, where there was thousands, it was like a sea of people. It was like at lunchtime. So
was that the Mike Tyson press thing?
Yeah, so I go from sitting home worried about being out of a job to on this show there might have been 3 matches. I know the Headbangers had a match, Taka and I had a match, and the only other thing I remember is the DX. DX came. Tyson was out there. So, before the show, we had this meeting in this little room inside the hotel, and like I said, I go from sitting home to all of a sudden I'm in this meeting with Tyson and Hunter and Sean and in China and being led by Vince McMahon, and I'm just kind of looking around the room going, how the hell did this happen? Like, it was crazy, and then, like you said, Brian and I were in that battle royal, and nothing really was done in that battle royal to make. It was a battle royal, so you don't really have a chance to shine or like show anybody what you can do as a team. But what happened was I ran into Vince McMahon as I was getting a coffee. I went into the catering at WrestleMania to get a coffee, and Vince came in at the same time, and he's getting a coffee. And like, dude, it sounds like a story, and it sounds like something out of a movie. But thinking about it, it felt like there was nobody else in the room, and I was just there alone. And I don't think there were a lot of people in the room. And all of a sudden, I felt somebody to my left, and I look, and it's Vince, and he's getting a coffee at the same time. So it's just the two of us standing there, which gave me the opportunity to go, "Thank you, sir, for putting me on this show. This is a dream come true." And I don't know if you know this, but I used to wrestle as Scott Too Hot Taylor on the independent scenes, and Brian is Too Sexy, Brian Christopher. I go, just throwing that out there. I don't know if there's something to it. And he goes, "Oh, that's interesting. Let me like throw that around in my head." And I thought that would be the end of it, And then the next week I show up, which I think it was Philadelphia, and we're on the board. Too Sexy, Too Hot, and they said Too Much. They named us Too Much. We'd had no input in that. All of a sudden, we were just Too Much, and we were a tag team.
Off to the races. But